All right, let's do this. Why you're only going to get one stimulus check right now. The restaurant industry wants its own bailout fund, and Airbnb is getting crushed. Can they ever bounce back? That's today's stimulus update. Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris, longtime real estate investor. If you're new here to the channel, this is a channel where we teach you to build financial intelligence so you can build financial freedom. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this with someone that you think could benefit of learning how to run your personal finances. All right, so first let's talk about where things are right now with this entire lockdown and quarantine situation. So we'll go through some of these headlines first before we get to some of the stimulus updates, because a lot of people wondering, when are things going to reopen? My state's reopening, your state's not. What's happening here? So here are the latest headlines. And I feel like we're all kind of getting this quarantine fatigue right now. Do you have it? Let me know in the comments below if you have it. Like, I want to get out to my favorite restaurants. I want to get back to normal. I just want my life back. I want to get out of this house. So let me know in the comments if that sounds like you. One of the big updates today, one of the big headlines, more Americans have now died from COVID-19 than in the Vietnam War. Put that into perspective. Nearly half these deaths, though, come from New York State. Profound impact on the New York economy. Meanwhile, confirmed cases in the U.S. have now topped 1 million. This according to the Los Angeles Times. But folks, bigger than the Vietnam War in death count? I mean, think about how many countless movies. We have a Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. How many families do we know were affected by Vietnam? I know my family was. Bigger than Vietnam. This is amazing. All right, what about the second wave of infections? That's another big headline. And Dr. Anthony Fauci says that if we begin lifting things too quickly, we could see another round of infections moving in pretty darn quickly here. So we'll be right back in the same boat, he says. In fact, I'll quote him. He says, we'll be right back in the same boat that we were a few weeks ago. Another big story, meat and poultry plants. Right now, there's a shortage of meat and chicken in the United States. And President Trump is ordering those plants to remain open after several of the facilities closed down because of massive outbreaks inside those plants. The move was designed to protect the food chain, according to Bloomberg, but these labor unions call it dangerous for workers. So the president's saying, get back to work, and the union workers saying, I don't want to die. Let's talk about the school system, because some schools have now decided to end the academic year, saying we're done. And the reason they're telling the Wall Street Journal this, they're saying, look, because remote learning is too tough on teachers, and it's too tough on the students, and it's really tough on the parents. So with all of those groups saying it's too tough, we're just going to end the school year. Now, I can totally relate to that. It's been difficult on us as parents. It's difficult on our kids. It's difficult on the teachers who are doing an amazing job. All of our kids are doing virtual learning right now, and our school quickly switched to online learning with the teachers doing virtual classroom. The curriculum went immediately to digital. They had to submit their homework digitally. It all switched pretty seamlessly, but it's still a huge pain, because if you've got a 3-year-old at home or a 4-year-old, then that falls on the parents to basically be leading that class for that younger child, replacing preschool. And if you're trying to work from home for your own business, it's chaotic. So we only have about a month left of school anyway, May into June. So these schools have said, you know what, we're just going to shut the doors. Let me know in the comments, was one of those schools yours? And how are you dealing with this right now as a parent? Let me know in the comments how you're dealing with this. If you're a parent, you've got kids at home right now, how are you trying to navigate this? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. All right, before we get to some stimulus news, I wanted to talk about something out of Hollywood, because I found this fascinating. I'm sure many of you did too while you were home watching movies with the family. That Trolls movie that came out direct to the TV, right to your Apple TV, right to your Amazon Fire, right to your whatever box. It's out, right? The Trolls movie, the new one. And guess what? It crushed the first Trolls movie in revenue, because it went direct to rent right on these boxes. Everyone was at home and rented it for $19. They made popcorn on the couch. I know a lot of people that did Trolls movie night. Well, it brought in $97 million in a short amount of time. And Universal Studios is saying that's all the evidence we needed to say that from now on, when we release a movie in the theater, we're also going to release it for rent at home. To which AMC Theaters said, sorry, Universal, you're never going to show another movie in our theater ever again. We knew that this was coming, but this is going to be the new normal. So you can choose to go see a movie in the theater on the same day it comes out, or stay at home and watch it for rent right there at home. But this is a new game changer for Hollywood. I just found this fascinating and I wanted to share. Okay, let's talk stimulus. Will you get another check? The answer is no. Right now, the answer is no. Congress has not moved on this at all. So what we're hearing, of course, is that there was a big delay. Nancy Pelosi having to keep the House of Representatives home out of Washington, D.C., because we've seen a rise in infections in Washington, D.C. That's not her decision. That was the House of Representatives. That's the acting doctor who works there said, you cannot come back because Washington, D.C. is hurting right now and infections are going up. So stay away, Congress. They have not been able to come to any kind of agreement on what the next round of stimulus will look like. Now, the first stimulus, of course, was for Americans earning less than $99,000. You would get a $1,200 check, an additional $500 if you had kids, and you had to file for that. 16 and younger married couples who filed jointly and earned less than $198,000 would get the $2,400. Many of you have saying, I haven't even gotten my first check yet. We're already talking about a second check. Where's my check? Now, I've done a whole video on when exactly your check should arrive, so please check that out. Here's the link to that video. You can check that out. But right now, there's not another stimulus check. There's nothing on the plan. There's a bunch of different proposals that are floating around out there. And I'll tell you what Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said. He said any kind of negotiations wouldn't start until early May. Early May. So if you're out of money right now, no other help is coming from the federal government until at least mid to late May at the earliest. By the time they actually start negotiating this and trying to push this through Congress, I wouldn't say until at least the end of May might they get their act together with a second round of stimulus. Now, what would that stimulus look like? There are a couple of proposals being floated around right now, but none of them have had any kind of movement. I think there's been a number of people talking about the Emergency Money for the People Act, which would give people $2,000 a month for up through the end of the year. I don't know how that will look. I think it might get whittled down significantly. Maybe it'll end up being $1,000 a month or just another one-time check. Either way, Americans are running out of money, and a new survey that just came out pointed, I think it was a Bankrate.com survey, talked about how Americans are not wasting this money. They are using it for rent. They are using it for groceries. Do you remember a number of years ago when we had that stimulus check that went out to everyone from under George W. Bush? And celebrities were talking about what purse they were going to buy and all this sort of stuff. And people were like, yeah, I'm going to use my Bush stimulus check to, paint my car, all this kind of stupid stuff. People were wasting it, and it was a total joke. People now are actually using it for what they need it for, groceries and rent. Another part of the stimulus update is what the Treasury Department is saying this morning because of the next round of PPP loans that are going out to these small businesses. Now, small businesses, of course, are 500 employees or fewer, right? That's the threshold for small business, which is kind of a joke, right? Now, some big companies took advantage of this. Ruth's Chris, Auto Nation, Shake Shack, and others, they got big loans, millions of dollars in loans, because they were able to claim that their individual locations had fewer than 500 employees, like a McDonald's, fewer than 500 employees at its one location, yet McDonald's, the corporation, gets a loan? No. But they did. Many of them did. AutoNation, for instance, got a $77 million loan, and after outrage, they said, we're going to pay it back. Shake Shack did the same thing. We're going to pay it back. Ruth's Chris said the same thing. And now the Treasury Department says they are going to audit any company that's taking out over $2 million in loans under the PPP plan. The federal government will audit you if you've got a loan for more than $2 million to make sure that it's legitimate and that you're not ripping the federal government off. Good. Glad they're thinking about this for the second round. Could have done this for the first round. Anyway, so if you're a small business that legitimately needs this, then good on you. There might be actually money left over in the next round, which was $310 billion that the federal government has set aside for round two. So that was passed earlier this week. The president signed that into law. So you need to file it with your bank. Wherever you have a business checking account for your business, you need to reach out to your bank that has your business checking account and talk to them about getting that loan started. But many of these banks have been frustrated because they haven't gotten their, like Wells Fargo, for instance. They're like, we have all these applications coming in, but we can't get access to the money. So it's been an absolute mess. So, but at least the federal government's going to step in and audit these companies. Restaurants. Here's another big story in the stimulus. Restaurants now want their own bailout. And folks, they've been getting crushed. I mean, restaurants are hurting probably more than any other service sector. They're pressing Congress to get a $120 billion fund to help out restaurants, bars, and wine bars. Many of these businesses are about to go permanently out of business. So I don't know if you guys have been doing this. We've certainly been doing it in our family. We try to support our local restaurants that we love by getting takeout from there, or takeout or delivery if they do it, like twice a week at least. So we try to do that on a Friday night, maybe a Saturday night or something, from our local favorite places, and kind of rotate. There's a really delicious Chinese place near here and an amazing chicken place. And so we've been really trying to support them. And they've been setting up tables like outside of their restaurant so that you can't go in, but you can go up and make your order, and then they'll hand you the bag and you pay and go. So no table service, but so we've been trying to do that. Let me know in the comments if you've also been trying to support your local restaurants. But I just fear, a lot of these are going to permanently go out of business. And once this pandemic is done, we're going to start looking around the neighborhood, seeing which restaurants have big boards put up in the window and saying permanently closed. My heart will break for those people. Some people who've had these restaurants in their family for generations. So really, really sad. So yes, I would absolutely support some sort of a restaurant bailout to help these struggling restaurants. All right, let's talk about Airbnb, which hits near and dear to my heart as a real estate investor. Now, I do not invest using Airbnb strategy, which is short-term rentals. I'm a long-term rental guy, but my short-term rental friends in the Airbnb space have just gotten crushed, absolutely crushed right now. And Airbnb was set to go public this year. This was supposed to be their banner year, but now their CEO is at home doing Zoom conference calls with NPR News and others, saying that he's just been baking cookies nonstop because there's nothing else to do. Airbnb has now partnered with the Surgeon General, the federal government, to come up with cleaning options for Airbnb owners in their apartments and their houses that they're renting out. So what does that mean? That means that now Airbnb is mandating that you have to have a 24-hour buffer between bookings. So Airbnb will have more information about this, but here's a little bit of more about this background. The house will have to remain empty for 24 hours between guests. So that just means you lost half of your booking potential. Half. If every other day you're allowed to book, that's crushing to someone's revenue. Especially in a hot destination where you might rent, we would have rented like Bethany Beach and Rehoboth Beach, Delaware for our summers. We'd go down for a week, and do like Saturday to Saturday. Well, now you'd have to book Saturday to Saturday with a Sunday off, and then book Monday to, you'd be losing all of this revenue. And then there are, of course, one-day rentals in hot spots that people don't want to stay for 7 days, but just want to get away for 2 days. Now that has to be buffered by an extra 24 hours. This is going to really crush revenue for people who are in the Airbnb space. Prospective guests will be able to use the online platform to also do this. When you're online on Airbnb, you'll be able to look for a house that has been vacant for 72 hours. Like, this will be part of a drop-down menu on Airbnb's website. Why 72 hours? Because that's how long the coronavirus could live on plastic and stainless steel. So you can look and say, okay, I'm not going to go and stay at this place until I know that there's been a 72-hour period where coronavirus wasn't. It's gone. That's crazy. We are in a new world, folks. And they're going to have to do massive cleaning on each property in between. And right now, 80% of hotel rooms are empty across America. And the hotel industry predicts that 2020 will be putting the worst year on record for hospitality. Worst year on record. So you can't hedge an 80% drop in decline in demand. It's impossible. So if you're an Airbnb owner, I would be curious to see what your strategy is. Are you going to shift to a long-term rental play going forward? Or are you just going to have to deal with this new normal of these 24 gaps in between and dealing with these new cleaning protocols? Let me know in the comments if this is affecting you as an Airbnb owner. I would be really curious. So there you go. That's today's stimulus and virus update for this Wednesday. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you back here tomorrow, everyone.